Welcome back to the Morning Blend. Our next guest believes you should run your family like a corporation, complete with binding contracts. And she says the rules apply to everyone, and that includes the dog.
That's right. JC Ellis is an author, attorney, and mother of 3, and she's here with practical tips on how to help your pet become a responsible member of the family. Good to see you again. Is that Chapo?
Yes, this is Chapo making his first television appearance. Say hi, Chapo.
Hi, Chapo. Oh,
Adorable.
you did so good. See, he's already a good member of the family. Let's tell us about how you got him, because is it true he was a bribe to your kids?
He was, exactly. So we moved 3 recalcitrant teenagers from Chicago to DC. So that was more than a notion. And I had run out of excuses as to why we couldn't get a dog. So we had to suck it up and get one, because I was the holdout, because I'm like, I have enough projects as the chief operating officer of the family. I got enough going on. But we decided to go ahead and get a dog, and got him from a Mennonite farm in Pennsylvania, of all places. So the ride home with my husband and the dog was quite adventuresome, because my husband had never been raised with dogs. And so it was a lot, right? So the tip on that is, before you go to a shelter or wherever you're going to go to get a pet, like, have some cleaning supplies in your car, because when you put them in a vehicle and they're moving around, the motion from the ocean is going to be a lot. So it was a little messy situation, but he handled it. So
He is absolutely adorable. Good for you. We got a dog during this time too, so I'm totally in touch with everything you're saying. And I want to know your thoughts on separation anxiety and earplugs.
yeah, and so that first night, so the dog was in the house before we moved in with any furniture or anything. And so my husband had never had a dog before, so he had no idea it was going to be a whaling session. And so Chapo, dogs sleep in packs. And so when you pull them away from their family and their mom and their wean, they're like, what's going on? And so I had to explain to him, you're going to have to get some earplugs and then put something with a scent, so that he feels like someone's around him. Although at that point he wasn't used to my husband's scent or anyone's scent. It was just traumatizing for him the first couple of days. But by the 3rd day, he had figured it out. He had his little puppy station, and he was calmer. And so the tip with that is, you have to be patient those first couple of nights, because I don't really advise you have a puppy sleeping in the bed with you. Although now Chapo sleeps in the bed with both of my kids, and they fight over who's he going to sleep with. But with a new dog, that might be a little messy for you in the morning.
Oh, I love that he now sleeps with everybody, though. That makes me happy. The next one you say is, mind your peas and poops and keep bacon in your pocket.
Yes. Okay. So that is such a good treat. So the tip on that is, it's not the size of the treat, it's the scent. So I have a tiny treat in my hand, and a little piece of turkey bacon that I promise you is aged to perfection. It's probably like 3 months old, and we keep it in a little baggie. And every time he did something good, especially, using a restroom outside, we would give him a tiny little treat. So not this big piece, we'd break off a tiny morsel. And so it's the taste and the scent that they want. And so he's like, wait a minute, whatever I just did, they like that. And they put this little taste on my tongue. And so this little treat could last 2 or 3 days. You just keep breaking off pieces. If you give them too big of a piece, it's going to mess up their stool, and it's going to be, too soft. So you don't want to do that. So, and I'm not a veterinarian or a dog trainer. These are just common sense things that we found worked for us that I thought would be fun.
Yeah.
So
I think they're super fun, and I think they're really good tips. This one I had not thought of. You suggest feed them where the accidents happen.
Yeah, and so honestly, I didn't do that one, but a friend of mine told me that worked with her dog, where they don't want to eat where they poop. And so if a dog scents or sprays in one area, no matter how well you try and clean it, they know, because it's still in the pad, and they have very sensitive olfactory senses, right? And so she said, if you put the food there and feed the dog there a few times, they won't go there anymore. And so I thought, okay, and she said it works. And she's trained 2 pets that way, and it worked for her. So I thought I would pass that along.
That's a great idea for people to try. What about the packed rules? What do those mean?
So when you bring home a dog, and I don't have any experience training a cat, I don't know if you can even train a cat, but they're pack animals. And so they know there's a leader of the pack. There's an alpha dog, an alpha male or an alpha female. So you have to establish who's that going to be, because if you don't establish it, the dog will make it him or her in a heartbeat. So for us, in our house, my husband, who is the chief executive officer, I'm the chief operating officer, which means what? I do everything. He's the alpha male. So he takes the dog for walks he doesn't even have to put Chapo on a leash, right? He just obeys because he's afraid of my husband. When he does put him on a leash, Chapo walks 3 steps behind him with his tail between his legs. It's hysterical. When I walk him, he obeys. When my son, the youngest, walks him, he doesn't listen. He calls him if he's off leash, and he's like, yeah, I'll get to you in a second, right? So it's funny how they kind of know, like, okay, I got to listen to this one a lot, this one a little less, and this one I'm just going to ignore. So you have to establish that.
So true.
I like your reminder when you have people over, guests are there to see you, not your dog. So you say your dog is not a doorman or a butler.
Girl, yes. And so how many times has someone, they ring the bell and it's like, oh, Chapo, the door is for you. Never. So the people coming to the door are either, coming for a party, and they're going to be nice about it when the dog greets them. But really what they're thinking is like, I've had enough. I'm all dressed up for this party, and now your dog is shedding all over me and licking my nice shoes, right? So the dog isn't a butler, a baby, or a sous chef. By baby, when you get invited somewhere, don't ask the host, can I bring my dog? Now, obviously, if the dog is an emotional support dog, that's different. But they really don't, just because your dog can fit in your purse doesn't mean he or she should go everywhere you go.
I love it. We're out of time. Is there any last thought you want to leave us with?
No, I just think, you reward the good behavior, and especially now during this time where everyone's isolating and there's such amazing companions. And so it's never too late to train a dog. So you can teach an old dog new tricks. So some of these things you can implement even with a dog that's not a puppy.
Oh, I love that. And we love Chapo. Thanks for sharing him with us.
My pleasure.
Good to see you, JC.
Bye, JC.